You might have noticed that the Oscars began uncharacteristically late on March 10, a full 6 minutes after its scheduled start time, as hundreds of protesters with film workers for Palestine and SAG-AFTRA members for ceasefire blocked roadways, making explicit calls for no awards amid a genocide. As protests raged outside, Jonathan Glazer, shaking with conviction, brought his own anti-war sentiments to the 96th Academy Awards, taking his action to the stage with the Best International Feature Film win for his stark Holocaust drama, The Zone of Interest. In his acceptance speech, the director wondered how we can resist dehumanization, saying the Academy Award-winning historical drama is just as much a look at what we do now. It was the only on-stage acknowledgement of what's happening in Palestine, as most celebrities opted to wear a red pin and let that speak for itself. Below, Glazer's speech and the reactions it elicited. Read the full transcript of Glazer's speech. Thank you so much. I'm gonna read. Thank you to the Academy for this honor and to our partners A24, Film 4, Access, and Polish Film Institute. To the Auschwitz-Birkenau State Museum for their trust and guidance. To my producers, actors, collaborators. All our choices were made to reflect and confront us in the present. Not to say, look what they did then, rather, look what we do now. Our film shows where dehumanization leads, at its worst. It shaped all of our past and present. Right now we stand here as men who refute their Jewishness and the Holocaust being hijacked by an occupation, which has led to conflict for so many innocent people. Whether the victims of October the applause. Whether the victims of October the 7th in Israel or the ongoing attack on Gaza, all the victims of this dehumanization, how do we resist? Applause. Alexandra Bystron-Kolodziejczyk, the girl who glows in the film, as she did in life, chose to. I dedicate this to her memory and her resistance. Thank you. Why was Glazer misquoted? Shortly after the speech, Glazer was misquoted online, including by Variety, which later corrected a story. It originally wrote that Glazer said, "Right now, we stand here as men who refute their Jewishness." The full quote is, "Right now we stand here as men who refute their Jewishness and the Holocaust being hijacked by an occupation, which has led to conflict for so many innocent people." Other misunderstandings and false claims about Glazer were shared online. Conservative Ben Shapiro wrote on Twitter that, in Jonathan Glazer's Zone of Interest, you don't see one Jew. Those are the best Jews, according to Glazer, the faceless victims screaming in the distance. Ironically, he's the villain, picking up awards from the bodies of those anonymous dead Jews while ignoring the living ones getting slaughtered in the Gaza envelope by genocidal murderers. There are, in fact, Jewish characters in the film, though the Zone of Interest does intentionally focus how non-Jewish Germans emotionally distance themselves from the horrors they were committing. What have people said since? In response to Glazer's speech, the Holocaust Survivors Foundation president David Shachter said in an open letter, "You made a Holocaust movie and won an Oscar. And you are Jewish. Good for you. But it is disgraceful for you to presume to speak for the 6 million Jews, including 1.5 million children, who were murdered solely because of their Jewish identity." He went on, "If the creation, existence, and survival of the State of Israel as a Jewish state equates to occupation in your mind, then you obviously learned nothing from your movie." Richard Trank, producer of the Oscar-winning Holocaust documentary The Long Way Home, wrote a guest column in The Hollywood Reporter. "One thing I do know is that many Jews around the world were outraged and disgusted by what the Oscar winner had to say at this year's Academy Awards," he wrote. "And joining that group, I would say that if we are going to resist or refute anything, it's statements like the one issued by Jonathan Glazer." On Monday, March 18, over 450 creatives in the entertainment industry, including Deborah Messing, Jennifer Jason Leigh, Amy Pascal, Amy Sherman Palladino, Eli Roth, Sherry Lansing, Joel Fields, and Joe Weisberg, signed a letter denouncing Glazer's speech, according to Variety. Their group statement reads, "We refute our Jewishness being hijacked for the purpose of drawing a moral equivalence between a Nazi regime that sought to exterminate a race of people, and an Israeli nation that seeks to avert its own extermination." Glazer has not responded to the letter. Angels in America playwright Tony Kushner came out in support of Glazer Wednesday, March 20. "What Glazer's saying is so simple," Kushner said in Deadline. "He's saying Jewishness, Jewish identity, Jewish history, the history of the Holocaust, the history of Jewish suffering must not be used in a campaign as an excuse for a project of dehumanizing or slaughtering other people. This is a misappropriation of what it means to be a Jew, what the Holocaust meant, and he rejects that." He added, "Who doesn't agree with that? What kind of person thinks that what's going on now in Gaza is acceptable? Has anyone from the film commented yet? None of the stars of the Zone of Interest have commented yet." A spokesperson for Len Blavatnik, one of the producers on the film, who was on stage during the acceptance speech and is a staunch supporter for Israel, told Variety that Mr. Blavatnik is extremely proud of the Zone of Interest and the acclaim it has received. His long-standing support of Israel is unwavering. Has Glazer made a statement since the speech? Jonathan Glazer hasn't spoken publicly since winning the award, including skipping the backstage press room after his speech.